Okay, so P1-9. We haven't done much in the way of arcs. We haven't really needed any up to this point. So where we can, we'll deal with the circles, and we're not really given a center point. We have a radius of 58.31, which is kind of an oddball, and we have a location where it contacts these two lines. So we need to kind of get that geometry in place. The holes I'm not too worried about. It's mainly getting that geometry established. So at this point, we're 9 projects into our model creation. So let's get the part. This one's also metric, front plane. And at this point, you should be noticing a lot of repetitive actions: selecting a plane, selecting a face, opening a sketch, creating geometry, adding relations, observing relations inferred or otherwise generated, finding symmetry and patterns. Well, this one doesn't particularly have too much of those, so we're going to get the what we know, and then we'll work on the what we don't knows. Alright, so what we know is the corner here, and I did a little double click there, so that's always a concern that I didn't put a really small line segment. So just as illustration, if I had clicked and I end up zooming out and I see that little anomaly dot, means that my double click happened to produce a very small piece of geometry. That will keep me from going fully defined. So if I see those little blue dots, and I will mention my obsession with little blue dots, when I see those, I want to identify, are they supposed to be there, or in this case I'm going to window pick and delete them out of the mix. All right, so on the screen I'm expecting blue dot at the end, because I haven't applied any dimensions yet, but any other blue dots, or I get to the stage where I think I'm done, I have all of my geometry in, I've applied all my dimensions, I've gotten every relation that I can think of. If I find that I have a couple more blue dots, I want to know why they're there. Alright, so that gives me that base geometry, and now we need to come up with a way to generate this arc. Alright, so arcs, we have 3 different methods of creating an arc. And so the center point arc would be handy if we knew where that center was. Tangent arc requires an existing line, arc, or spline to start the arc and get it going, so we don't have that. And so in this case, the 3-point arc is freeform, but it's going to give us the 2 endpoints, which we do have, an endpoint and an endpoint, and then we can drag it to a position that closely approximate where we want to end up. So the 3-point arc, we pick up the endpoint and drag it out a little ways, pick up the other endpoint, and whenever you see this dashed blue line in the middle of your sketching operation, that means it is expecting one more piece of information from you. So if I drag this out, get it kind of close, once I let go now, it generates the arc and says, yes, that's now an enclosed region and part of the sketch. Alright, so it knows where that point is, it knows where that point is. Once I give it the radius, it should have enough information to create the arc. So there's my 58.31. So we could have done that with a circle and made the circle coincident at those points, but we would have had to convert to a diameter or pick up a or apply the diameter and convert it to a radius. There's a couple of different ways to manage that. Arcs are always going to generate radiuses, and the circles are always going to be diameters. Alright, so once we go back over to our circle, and it didn't pick up, so let's try the S key in this case. And the S key, I can pick up the circle, and we'll draw the 2 circles, and did not let go of that one. Alright, so 20 millimeters. And then we're going to select, and I like to get these set to equal. And because these are kind of positioned off of each other, we'll get the first one in place at 45, the second one in place at 30. All right, and then between the two circles, so this is a definite watch out. This one comes with that warning of watch out for the center points. All right, if I pick the two circles, I'm okay for going horizontal, vertical, and linear. But there are going to be times, go ahead and escape completely back without exiting the dimension. There are going to be times where picking between the points may not allow you to go to those horizontal. So in this case, I am getting the horizontal and the vertical. But depending on the geometry, if that's the only dimension that I can get, that is not my preference. All right, so in that case it worked, and we'll go ahead and accept it. I'm not anticipating that I will need to set a max min condition. And then between the two, I'm still going to say it's always better to pick the perimeters of the circles than it is the center points. All right, so let's go back and check. I come over to the 50 millimeters. I look at its leaders. We scroll down. There's no arc condition between the circles. We switch over to the 15. Now I have a first arc condition and a second arc condition. All right, and again, this one would be kind of weird because of the overlap, so don't know that it would end up there, but yeah, if we need it, have to have it, we're not going to get it with the center points. All right, so that gets extruded, and thickness is 20 millimeters. And we go ahead and accept and save. So we're going to do a lot more with arcs, and building out these geometries, going through different strategies to create these shapes.